Hi, and welcome to the Access Direct Opening Bell, your essential pre-market podcast. In just minutes, get key global updates, overnight trends, and market-moving factors that set the tone for the day. Whether you're a seasoned trader or just someone tracking the markets, this is your go-to briefing to stay ahead at all times. So let's dive straight in. Good morning on a Wednesday, and we will start with US stocks, which fell yesterday as investors shifted their focus to earnings. The S&P 500 dropped 0.3%, its first decline in 7 days, while the Nasdaq 100 fell 0.2%. In data, new job openings dropped in June after having gone up in the prior 2 months, while consumer confidence rose. Elsewhere, the Fed kicked off its 2-day policy meeting and is forecasted to keep rates unchanged. Coming to the markets, the VIX jumped 6.3% to end around 16. The dollar index rose for the fourth straight day, while the US 10-year Treasury yield fell by the most since early June, as labor data showed some signs of economic softness. Elsewhere, gold stabilized near $3,300 an ounce after 4 days of declines, while Brent prices reached $72 a barrel as they jumped 3.5%, the biggest gain in 6 weeks, after President Trump said he may impose additional penalties on Russia. At home, the rupee fell to an over 4-month low as it settled at 86.82. India's efforts to secure some sort of an interim trade deal with the US before the August 1st deadline are fading by the day, with the US trade representatives saying that more talks will be needed to find a common ground. Coming to stocks, in the Nifty finished 140 points higher at 24,821. The India VIX fell 4.5% to end the day at 11.5. Mid-caps and small caps outperformed the Nifty on the upside. All of the 12 NSE sectors gained, with Realty and Pharma leading on the way up as they rose 1.6% and 1.4% respectively. Speaking Nifty members, the top performer on the day was Jio Financial, which rose 4.5%, while SBI Life was the biggest loser as it dropped 0.9%. Technically speaking, yesterday's low at 24,600 occurred at the top end of a horizontal support area, and the fact that the market traced a bullish engulfing pattern here is making bulls hopeful of an extended recovery toward 25,000 at the very least. Meanwhile, provisional data showed that despite yesterday's rebound, foreigners withdrew over 4,600 crores. The month-to-date outflow has now jumped to 41,200 crores. On to derivatives, and the Nifty's put-call ratio went from 0.64 to 0.8, while the Bank Nifty's remained flat at 0.69. More Nifty puts were added compared with the liquidation that was seen in calls, and implied volatility fell 65 basis points, which means that market participants stayed optimistic at the close. For options expiring on 31st July, resistance sits in the 24,900 to 25,000 area, while support lies in the 24,700 to 800 zone. Elsewhere, 1% out of the money call volatility fell more than similar distance put volatility, and that means that volatility traders may be looking to book some profits on any opening gains. Speaking net index options activity, foreigners turned bullish while proprietary traders stayed optimistic, while retail investors turned bearish. Elsewhere, foreigners' net short positioning in index futures rose by another 6,000 contracts to 171,000 contracts. Looking forward to the day, the GIFT Nifty opened 45 points down. Asian markets were mixed, while US index futures were up slightly. Coming to individual stocks, Ashok Leyland, BHAL and Bandhan Bank were at horizontal support, while MapMyIndia was at horizontal resistance. ABB, CAMS and CDSL were at trendline support, while Grasim and Dixon were at trendline resistance. Talking breadth, 42%, 72% and 59% of stocks in the NSE 500 were above their 50, 100 and 200-day averages. The US will see the release of the Fed rate decision, quarterly GDP numbers, ADP employment and core PCE data later today. That wraps up the day's podcast. Please note that this podcast serves solely for informational purposes and should not be considered financial advice. For a comprehensive disclaimer, please visit our website. Thank you, and we will see you tomorrow at the same hour. Have a good day.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.